What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we have an official update and an official go for Crystal Lake begins filming under the cheeky title Mama's Boy. So I will say I'm not sure if maybe that's the name they're going to be switching to, because I did take a look at this image I'm getting ready to show you below if you haven't seen it already. So I'm wondering if this is just one of those code names, or which wouldn't make sense at this point, why you'd be using a code name for a series that everyone knows about and it's in the headline, or if this is setting up an official name change for the series, that it's no longer going to be called Crystal Lake. It's going to be called Mama's Boy, which that all just in the title itself. Having not read this article, we're going to be reading this together. And I've mentioned this before as it relates to this series, is where in the timeline is this going to happen? Obviously, we would assume it's going to be taking at Crystal Lake. We assume it's going to be focusing on Pamela Voorhees. Now, whether or not we do see the child version of Jason leading up to what was the supposed drowning that leads it, that really sets the foundation of the story for the first film and subsequent films. I'm wondering if we're going to start off this particular series for the first few episodes really just focusing on Pamela Voorhees, and then depending upon how they set this up, which again, if they set it up to where Jason is in this series, and they his supposed drowning somewhere in the middle, maybe towards the end, that way you give it some breathing room to allow Pamela to go crazy, which again leads us into that version of her in the very first original film where she is the killer, not Jason. I wonder how that's going to play out, because if they go right into what I just laid out, then you're a one and done series. You have no opportunity for a season 2, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how they lay out this particular story over the course of these episodes. So let's jump into this article, see what new information we have for this upcoming series. And here it is. We have, I don't want to say it's a machete. It is more like a hunting type knife. And then we see Mama's Boy. We see what appears, I don't know if that's just, part of the handle. It looks like that's just part of the handle. It's not necessarily like your fingerprints like down here towards the middle. But we do have some blood dripping from the full length of the blade. So let's jump into the article details. Showrunner Brad Caleb Kane has announced today that filming is now officially underway on Crystal Lake, the upcoming Friday the 13th television series from Peacock and A24 that will serve as an expanded prequel to the legendary slasher franchise. The series, it's amusing to note, is shooting under the false title Mama's Boy, which seems only fitting. Brad Caleb Kane captions a behind-the-scenes photo shared on his Instagram page this afternoon. Production day one. It's real, folks. Stay tuned for more updates. Then we have the episode currently in production is directed by Michael Lennox, with the slate listing Makio Bishop as the cinematographer. So we have the other casting here as far as Linda, who's going to be playing Mrs. Voorhees. Again, as it mentions here, as I stated earlier, who is the original killer, or is the killer in the original film, Friday the 13th. So let's keep going. Linda Cardell's Pamela Voorhees is being described as a mother who had given up a singing career to raise a special needs child and takes a dark turn when she loses her son. The 8-episode series is set to be directed by Michael Lennox. Okay, the series will notably bring the Friday the 13th franchise back to life after 16 years of Jason Voorhees lying dormant at the bottom of the lake due to messy legal issues over the rights, which we know. I think many of us, any fan as part of the series, has known that's been not one of the primary issue why we have not seen any other Friday the 13th films or series over the past 16 years because of these issues around the rights. Now let's jump back up to these two portions here, because based on what I just said at the beginning of this video, and then this states takes a dark turn when she loses her son, and this is going to be 8 episodes. So this leads me to believe this could be a one and done series, or what they could do is, if they're going to be playing, let's say, out the first 4 episodes of this, Pamela, we see her leaving her singing career. We see her taking care of Jason. They move to Crystal Lake, or however that's going to turn out. And then maybe somewhere along the lines in episodes 5 and 6, Jason supposedly drowns. her rampage starts, and that dark turn starts somewhere mid episode 6, and then we see that play out for 2.5 episodes. And maybe what they do is that's in order to get a second season out of this, if it is successful, we see the time gap between the time Jason drowns and the time up to Friday the 13th, the original film, because obviously there's going to be a huge time gap, because this would be a much younger Pamela Voorhees compared to an older one that we saw in the original film. So they could do that as far as, hey, let Michael drown, and then each season is a new summer at Camp Crystal Lake, and she goes on whatever rampage, and that's how the whole urban legend really starts to pick up. And then why we know eventually the camp does close, because they're trying to bring it back multiple times in the original films. So I'm thinking that could be the best route. That way they leave themselves open for a second season if this one is successful. But they could always just build it to where if Jason does drown somewhere in those middle episodes, let Pamela go dark, and then they could say, hey, if this isn't successful, there's just a time jump. We don't ever really talk about that time period between once she starts to turn dark up until that point, or they can fill in that huge gap of time with various seasons, again, depending on how successful this is going to be. So, and I'd imagine it's going to be, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have been waiting and wanting more, I guess, Jason universe content. But again, we haven't been getting it because of the legal issues. So this is going to be the first bit we are going to be getting. Now, I'm also wondering if they're going to keep the same level of tone and atmosphere as the original film. Now, again, not sure what year this is going to be taking place in the series, because it would have to be taking place significantly earlier than the original film, because Pamela is going to be much older in that film compared to how old she's going to be here. Now, unless we're just going to see, a few year time jump, not sure. So I think a lot's going to hinge on when we see this first episode, or as we get more information, what year is this taking place in, comparing to what year the events of the original film were happening. So anyways, that's going to do it for this quick horror news update. Crystal Lake, under the code name or under the different name, false name, whatever you want to call it, Mama's Boy. That's the title that they're using on set. Again, I'm wondering if that's going to be somewhere along the lines, when they get done with this, the official name change, or if they're just going to stick with Crystal Lake. I'm sure we'll find out. No date on when this series is going to be released. Obviously it's going to be sometime in 2026. There's no way, if they're just now starting to do the filming for these 8 episodes, that this would be ready by the end of 2025. So I would highly anticipate, probably, I'd say early summer, maybe springtime going into summertime. We'll probably get these 8 episodes. I can't imagine they're going to wait until the fall season, around Halloween time to release this. Otherwise, we're looking at well over a year before we get this. So anyways, that's going to do it for this update. Drop a comment in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Are you looking forward to Crystal Lake already starting filming? We're going to get 8 episodes. I'm looking forward to this one. I've been wanting to see some more Friday the 13th content, and we're finally going to get it. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.